We're live.
Okay, we're live.
We're live.
Welcome everyone, and a very good evening to all our panelists and all of you who have joined us for this virtual roundtable on modular kitchens. My name is Serafina D'Souza, and I'm Assistant Editor with Construction World. Special thanks to our panelists for making time to virtually be with us here today. It is a pleasure to have each one of you join this discussion. A big thank you to our presenting sponsor, Hafele India, for supporting us with this event. This conference is being streamed live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and bites of the discussion will feature as the CW Design Build cover story in our July edition, so stay tuned. Here are a few of our past edition covers. Mikhail, could we have the screen shared for the presentation? A few of our past edition covers. In our March edition, we had path-breaking interviews of Mr. Nitin Gadkari, Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri, and Mr. T.V. Somanathan. A large part of our focus in the recent past has shifted to the digital world. We are delighted to share that our monthly visits have now touched over 250,000. In fact, since the first lockdown in March last year, we have been conducting several webinars and roundtables to cater to the industry. Before we proceed with our discussion, here's a few of our upcoming events. Coming soon is the interview of Minister of Railways, Mr. Piyush Goyal, as part of our Infra Nirbhar series. Do stay tuned for this. On 16th July, we are organizing the Infra Steel Summit. Topics of discussion will include the key drivers for steel demand in construction and infrastructure, including railways, prefab technology, steel engineering, among others. Do join us for this discussion that will help shape the industry of tomorrow. On 22nd and 23rd July, we are organizing the Construction Technology Summit 2021. Over 2 days, the summit will help identify proven, innovative, and globally established technologies for India's construction industry. Day 1 of the summit will focus on smart design with BIM, while Day 2 will delve into innovation and construction equipment. Do join us on this platform to witness a paradigm shift in the manner in which construction is perceived in the country. On 20th August, we will be hosting the Construction World Architect and Builder Awards, popularly known as the CAGR Awards. This is our 16th year of awarding India's top architects and builders and noteworthy projects, and the second year that we will be hosting the awards virtually. Like every year, last year too, while hosting the awards virtually, we had over hundreds of entries. We had the top builders and architects share their winning speech with us, just like they would at a physical event. This year for CAGR, our theme is React, to respond to the environment with awareness, creativity, and technology. Do nominate your architect or building firms and projects for the CAGR Awards if you've not done so already. Also, as a countdown to CAGR, we will be organizing a series of webinars. Topics of discussion will include architecture as a profession, real estate, designing trends post the pandemic, and smart cities. In fact, Mr. Habib Khan, President, Council of Architecture, will be moderating some of these webinars. Organizations such as the National Highways Builders Federation and Builders Association of India have also agreed to extend their support to this event. Before we now move forward with our discussion, let's take a look at a short video of our presenting sponsor, Hafele India.
What connects people all over the world? They eat, they drink, and they live. They close the door behind themselves. They stow away the things of everyday life. They watch TV. They turn lights on and off, and often they need more space than they have. They live on the road. They live somewhere for a time. They live as they please. As safely as possible, as comfortable as possible, as individual as possible. We are here to help with over 150,000 hardware solutions for architectural projects and interior design, with over 7,500 dedicated employees, with 50 locations around the globe. We are on familiar terms with every fitting that exists anywhere in the world. We know what it can do and what it can't, where it fits and where it doesn't. In addition, we develop and manufacture intelligent and innovative ideas to always make people's living better. And we support all who enrich this individual world of people. With the right products, with our knowledge, with speed, and with reliability. And what connects us at Hafele with all the people who live? They inspire us to create new ideas, new possibilities, new ways, every day. Hafele, thinking ahead.
That's some amazing work done by Hafele. Now, coming to our topic of discussion today on modular kitchens. The market for modular kitchens in India has witnessed an inclination towards modern designs and comfort. In fact, the market is projected to grow at a CAGR of over 27% during 2019 to 2024. Evidently, kitchens are gaining recognition in the home improvement category towards both its functionality and decor. Consumers are showing inclination to experiment with design, textures, color combinations, and are progressively looking at premium designs and features such as magic corners and kitchen island concepts to add more luxury touch to the cooking space. And this is what we would like you, our panelists, to delve into today. We have put together a few focus pointers of discussion, but before we proceed, requesting each one of you to please introduce yourself. Could we please start with Mr. Jürgen Wolf?
Hi, good afternoon, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be on the panel here. So I'm Jürgen Wolf. I'm the MD of Hafele in South Asia. Hafele is a German company based out of Nagold, which is in the Black Forest, and we're now almost 100 years old. We were founded in 1923, and we are a world leader in interior fittings. Here in India, we started in 2003. I've been here already since 2001, so I'm completing this year 20 years. And we started out as a very small sales office with only 3 people and built this now into a sizable company. I think we just completed 900 employees yesterday, which gave me another shock in these COVID times. It is what it is. And we have been focusing very much on providing complete interior solutions to our customers here in India. Complete interior solutions means that we have essentially products and solutions for every single room in the house, and starting from your main door through your bedroom, through your living room, the kitchen, the bathroom. We have literally products for every single space. We are a little bit on the premium side, I would say, because when we came here, we found that really there wasn't a lot of choice of products, of good quality products with features, international features. So we have introduced those over the years and have now a range that entails more than 15,000 different products here in India alone, out of our big basket of 150,000 or 150,000 products worldwide. So that's me essentially looking after this baby and nurturing it to become even bigger. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jürgen Wolf. Ms. Devika Khosla.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on this panel too. So this company was founded by my husband and myself. We started in 1998. We call it the Works Interiors because we do everything regarding homes, offices. So it's a complete design and build. We firmly believe that every single handcrafted piece potentially becomes somebody's heirloom. Our forte is that we have our own workshop and we manufacture pieces of furniture. And, we also understand the need of the hour is to save the planet. So every design and every product we make, we ask ourselves where that design or piece will be in the next 10 years. We are committed to building contemporary and luxurious interiors pan-India and across the globe. Every design solution is customized to give our clients a very unique project experience. I'm looking forward to today's panel discussion. Like I said earlier, that during this pandemic, almost everybody has become a chef or a coffee buff. So, kitchen is really, really the strong point of every home these days. So, very excited to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Devika Khosla. Mr. Ponnappa?
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Ponappa. I'm from the Brigade Group, and I'm here today representing Brigade Plus. The Brigade Group is a 35-year-old development company. We're based out of Bangalore and primarily have a footprint in South India in commercial, residential, and the retail space. We also have projects in Gift City in Ahmedabad. The Brigade Group also holds the licenses for the World Trade Centers in South India. So the WTC in Bangalore, the WTC that's in Chennai, and the one that will probably come up or is coming up in Hyderabad would also come under us. Talking about Brigade Plus, the Brigade Plus is a relatively new division within the Brigade Group, and the aim of Brigade Plus is to service all customer requirements for interiors for Brigade projects. Like I said, it's a relatively new division. As I was getting to know the panelists a little bit earlier today, I let them know that I'm the newbie in this group. So I'm looking forward to a fruitful interaction. I should be able to give some insights into customer behavior and customer consumption patterns, but to a large extent, looking forward to a lot of learning from this panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ponnappa. We move on to Ms. Kanika Bawa.
Thank you, Serafina. Lovely to be a part of this panel. And this discussion is, the topic is really interesting, especially very relevant for today's, in today's time. Coming to what our firm is all about, which is Kanika Baba Design, has been in the design fraternity for the last 2 decades. And every year we add something new to our kitty. We've got 15 different verticals. I have 3 world records, two for the Prime Minister's show, Make in India, and one with Smriti Irani. This is the world's largest cushion, sustainable cushion, and also the world's largest couples in the world have been designed, conceptualized, and built by us. Also, the world's largest sittable chair. So these have been very exciting projects, and it was great learning. Besides that, we're also doing quite exciting work with the television industry. I designed for CNBC 18, designed 2 of their shows, celebrity shows. So that's great because there's again so much to learn when you interact with each celebrity, be it Deepika Padukone or Ayushmann Khurrana, or let's say even A.R. Rahman. I mean, there's so much to learn from each one of them. Besides that, we do product design, we do art installations. I also teach in our ISDI Parsons, Lower Parel. I write also. So there's so much more. I think it's really exciting. For me, design is just a comma, comma, comma. There's no full stop, and there is so much. My love for color is so much, and it's so conspicuous in all my projects because India is intrinsically a country about color. So I always think how we could effectively craft any project and showcase that. And rest, I think design is a discovery and a learning process. Delighted to be a part of this panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bawa. Ms. Nisha Jamwal.
You're on mute, Nisha.
You have to unmute.
A warm hello to all the panelists and to the organizing construction world. It's a pleasure to be here with friends who I hold very dear, as well as the wonderful viewers who are here with us today. I'm an interiors architect, a space planner, a set designer for Bollywood, an influencer in the world of design, not only interiors, but pan design. I am a columnist and a writer. And all this since the last 18 years when I returned from Paris. I worked and lived in Los Angeles, in Australia, in Japan, in a village called Ibaraki, in Paris, and in Italy. I've enjoyed coming back to this country because I've seen change. In fact, Jürgen, I think modular kitchens are exactly 2 decades old, and you have been one of the pioneers to bring modular kitchens into India. Um, I enjoy space, I enjoy landscape design. I have worked with hotels, I have worked with medical facilities, and I worked with even INS Delhi, which is a warship, one of the largest warships of India. I've had the privilege to design with exciting people and for exciting people like Lisa Ray, Jaipur Airport, like I said, INS Delhi, Pradhan Dental Center. I was the first Indian to win the American Women in Architecture Award in Long Beach, California. I've diversified to various sensibilities of design, be it graphics, be it fabrics, be it tiles. I've curated works of art. I'm passionate about Indian traditional craft. I've written 2 books about saving traditional Indian craft. In the last few years, I joined hands with eminent lawyer Abha Singh to make India accessible. I took the Maharashtra government to court for, making sidewalks, making interiors and external public spaces more amenable to specially abled citizens of Bombay and of Maharashtra. And with the blessings of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, I attempt and I'm ambitious about making India a more accessible country. I find in the world stage, the one area that we lack is India's accessibility. I have experimented in many sensibilities of design. I have not restricted myself to interiors alone. I've designed books, I've designed public spaces. I'm an artist, I paint, I write, and I live in an erratica of color, words, style, shape, and I am an eternal learner. I'm grateful to be here among experts, but I consider myself a student of design. Thank you for having me here, and I'm very excited to share and learn about design from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jamwal. We have Mr. Nagapan now before we move forward with our discussion.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me here. I'm architect Nagapan. I'm an architect with 14 years of experience, and I run a firm called Design Cube Architects. It's a partnership firm along with 3 of my partners, and we have studios in 3 cities in South India, in Bangalore, Chennai, and Coimbatore. And we have been in presence for the past 11 years, and we have done close to around 1,000 projects of various scales and typologies. And our core focus area is in luxury residential segments. And in the past 4 or 5 years, we have done close to around more than 100 apartments and villas. So I think we have quite some knowledge with respect to modular kitchens and interiors. So looking forward to hear from other panelists in today's discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nagapan. We have a fab panel with us here today on modular kitchens. Now, diving deep into the discussion, the market does look promising. As I mentioned before, we can see that a growth of over 20% is expected in modular kitchens in the 5 years from 2019 to 24. Ms. Kanika Baba, I'd like you to tell us more about the scope of growth for this market. Also, a question that none of us can avoid, has COVID really impacted it in any way, for better, for worse? Like Ms. Devika Khosla mentioned that we've all turned chefs amid the pandemic. So has COVID really impacted the market in any way? What has been the impact, and what is the scope of growth going forward?
Yes, so there has been tremendous impact, and for the better, I must say. Kitchenscapes in India have really gained great learnings. And if I may say, primarily 5 learnings is that, what has actually come into the kitchen domain. First, I would like to say flexi collaborative hub. Kitchen no longer is just a place for storage and cooking, but more so now for entertaining. Clients want equipment centric kitchens. where, with the pandemic, what happened? There was the absence of the domestic staff. So it's becoming, very necessary that kitchens are equipped with all the, equipment, so that the dependence on the domestic staff and servants comes down, more so making it a sufficient place, achieving the work life balance. That is one. Second is hygiene, sanitation, and quality of air. That has become of prime importance today. Clients are asking for chimneys which, make minimal noise. They're opting for, even different kind of equipments. Uh, Hot water has become a necessity in the kitchen now. Fresh air has become so important, right? Ventilation. So, all this emphasizes sanitation, hygiene standards with the COVID now. Also, you have a very interesting thing, which is the emergence of the new ergonomics. Okay, when I say this, during the pandemic, the entire family sat home and watched Master Chef. Now kids themselves want to dabble, stir up, cook up something in the kitchens. It's not only the little kids want to become little master chefs, but it's also the husbands who want to cook in the kitchen. So we need to have new ergonomics where one size fits all. There have to be some kind of flexible areas, zones in the kitchen, which accommodates a small little kid, a tall husband, or the domestic staff, or the lady of the house. So, it has to become that flexible. You also see husbands entering the kitchen zone is welcome change, which was a not heard thing because it was a woman's domain. And I think movies in Indian movies like Kika show that, a CEO cooking his kitchen. So this is very different for all of us now, and it's a welcome change. Also, if you look at the youth of India, they're looking at pocket friendly and budget size, interiors and kitchens. Now, what has this led to? This has led to the emergence of condos or studio apartments. Because the youth understands with the COVID resources being less, that they need to be, economically self-reliant, independent. So they are looking at smaller options instead of a luxurious home. They're looking at picking up a property which is like a studio home. Now, what happens is you have builders, you have the emergence of builders who are actually collaborating with, like industry leaders, for example, Hafele, perhaps a couple of other companies, to do the fit out of kitchens and make it a smart kitchen. What is the youth concerned with? They are concerned with smart, young, multifunctional. So they want a fold out table, plus they want a fold out, chopping board, plus a working station, everything. And more important, time saving. They want everything, which time is an expensive commodity, right? With the lockdown, we realized that we have to juggle so many roles. Also, if you another fifth important point I would like to reiterate is design exploration and storage inspired by Marie Kondo. We all know she's such a master in storage spaces. Today, you have the entire house who's inspired, looking at these storage solutions for small spaces. So also kitchen storage becomes so vital here. Also, there is a lot of people are open to design exploration, be it India-centric, fusion, contemporary, futuristic. They want a personality kitchen. Everybody now has an opinion suddenly, because everybody is reading so much also, right? So they want a character in the kitchen. They want a personality. They want features, and they want something which is maintenance easy, clever, smart. So I think these are all lessons that we have learned from the pandemic. And this is definitely influencing our kitchenscape today. Yes.
Thanks, Ms. Baba. Mr. Punappa, I'd like you to take on this question. As Ms. Baba mentioned, we're seeing a change in the way a kitchen is perceived in India. Coming to demand across cities and segments, could you tell us where is more demand coming from? Is it the mid-housing or luxury segments? What about affordable housing? Does the segment contribute in any way? Also, as a builder with a pan-India presence, if you could tell us, is this demand confined to only metros, or are tier 2 and tier 3 cities also witnessing a rise in modular kitchens?
All right. Uh, so first, Kanika said some very interesting things. I think, like she mentioned, suddenly everyone has an opinion on design because everybody's reading so much. I believe that's absolutely true. See, what's happened, I believe this generation of homeowners is really the first generation of homeowners that is coming to age that grew up in the tech revolution or the internet era, right? So whether it is your Instagram, whether it's your Pinterest boards, etc., they just have access to so much, which I personally believe is a great thing, right? Being a member of this generation. So that said, I feel like there is just so much out there for the consumers to, be exposed to. They have learned a lot, and you don't need to really step out of your house today to take a look at what anybody is offering, and the world's really your oyster. Similar things have happened in tier 2 and tier 3 cities as well. So we are all very well aware about the demand in tier 1 cities, so I will not elaborate on that too much. But with regard to your question about tier 2 cities, because of the pandemic now and the institutionalization of work from home, or rather work from anywhere for a lot of these MNCs today, a lot of people we see are moving back to their homes, whether it's tier 2 cities like Coimbatore or Mysore, right? And the great part over here is that the communication network, the infrastructure over there supports work from home or work from anywhere. So having experienced the kind of ergonomics, the kind of ease of having a great kitchen or a modular kitchen in the city, it is but natural that the buying behavior will tend to go towards something that the customer is already comfortable with, one. And secondly, already has exposure to or is being influenced by the various things that they consume on the internet. So as far as tier 2 cities are concerned, we're definitely seeing a big amount of uptick, both in terms of residential sales and therefore the interest in modular kitchens and modular interiors. What also tends to happen over here, because a lot of these people are moving back on a permanent basis, more or less, the buying capacity within these cities significantly has increased, and therefore the demand has also gone up. The same, however, I don't believe is very true for tier 3 cities. And fundamentally, there are three reasons for tier 3 cities not having the same amount of demand. The first one is, of course, the communication infrastructure. For example, my parents, they live in Coop, right, which is a tier 3 or even maybe a tier 4 town. And internet is a big challenge over there. The speeds do not go anywhere above 5 Mbps. So obviously your Amazons, your Samsungs, your Capgeminis, your Oracle of the world are not allowing their employees to work from those places. So people who live there do not have the option to go back. That's the first part. The second part is the cost of transportation to these areas, because a lot of modular kitchen, modular interiors providers do not have an established channel of distribution in these areas. And when you don't have that, the cost of transportation typically adds on to the cost of the interiors itself. So that dissuades a lot of people from actually going ahead and saying that in a tier 3 city, let me go ahead and opt for a modular kitchen. Lastly, and I think most importantly, availability of skilled labor also. All is well and good if you get a great product, but if you don't have a qualified person to assemble it, a lot can go wrong, right? So because of these limitations and these reasons, I'm seeing not too much of an interest in tier 3 cities. As far as luxury versus mid-range products and their demand is concerned, see, at the end of the day, everybody needs a kitchen, everybody needs a couple of wardrobes. That is not going out of the equation at all. We typically find that in a mid-segment product, a customer ends up spending anywhere between 8 to 12% of the apartment value on their interiors. Mind you, I'm not saying kitchens, I'm saying interiors, right? Similarly, in a luxury category product, we have found that 20 to 30% of the apartment value is the standard that they typically tend to spend. I do not find too much of a difference in the demand really, because we're getting inquiries, and I would say equal number of inquiries for projects that are in the mid segment as well as projects that are in the higher segment. However, in the mid segment, what typically tends to happen, anybody who has purchased a home for purely from an investment point of view and intends to rent it out, we find that modular is not the not the choice, that the first choice they go with, because they want to see if they can execute basic interiors in, let's say, 1 or 2 lakh rupees, which may be maybe about 3 to 5% of the value of the apartment, really, because their intention is just to rent it out, right? So the modular industry, or rather the modular product, may be taking a beating over there. However, as a superior product with a lot less hassles for anybody who is looking at moving in and staying in those apartments, definitely modular apartment makes sense. And between your luxury apartments and your mid-size apartments, we're seeing a similar amount of demand.
Thank you, Mr. Punappa. Now, when we talk about the functions, the basic function, as Ms. Kanika Bawa mentioned, is we've seen a lot about hygiene now suddenly given a lot of importance. Indeed, the basic function of a modular kitchen is to keep the kitchen organized and uncluttered. Mr. Jürgen Wolf, if I would like you to tell us more about the functionality of these kitchens. I mean, while we have aesthetics on one side, but functionality is a key important element in planning these kitchens. So how does Hafele really help in providing kitchen solutions, keeping in mind their functionality?
Well, we do that for a living. This is what we do. Hafele is all about functionality, and if you look at any furniture, whether it's a kitchen or wardrobe, whatever it may be, but without functionality, without fittings, it's just a pile of wood, right? So it has no value and doesn't provide any convenience. So, as I said, our mission from day one really was to bring functionality to these solutions here in the country, and not only make them work, but make them last and be sustainable. So, for instance, we provide on all our kitchen fittings a lifetime warranty, which we define as 15 years of life for a kitchen, for instance, and make sure that that keeps functioning and keeps working. I remember when we first started out. And we introduced soft closed drawers in India. Everybody looked at it and said, "Oh my God, this is never going to last." Especially when my maid gets her hands on it, she's going to destroy this thing. And I actually, because we were very small then, I demonstrated the product to our customers myself, and I showed them that I can actually stand in a 70-kilogram drawer, and you can still move it smoothly. So it took all this convincing. I think we're now way ahead, and these products have been accepted in the market, and they're really adding value to the kitchen. So, but I want to maybe refer a little bit to also about what Kanika said, and also Punappa. Micro living is a huge trend, not just here in India, but in the world, and we are also specializing on providing these quirky solutions to make sure that you save space, and you have maybe a 300 square feet apartment, maybe a 500 square feet apartment where you live, sleep, cook, and to make that work is a real art, right? And I think this is something that we're particularly good at. So we have all these clever fittings that you can use and maybe store away when you don't need them, so you make space for other things. We are looking at designing kitchens in a different way, very much initially based on how does the user use the kitchen. Is he or she a big cook, or is it just occasional? How do they store things? How often do they go shopping? And make sure that fits their profile as well. That's very important. Maybe a quick point on modular kitchens. For me, this is probably the most misunderstood term in India. Modular kitchens essentially means they are standardized, factory-made kitchens. More than 80% of all kitchens in India are still made by carpenters, right? So individual carpenters will come to your house and move in for the next few weeks, maybe sometimes months, and build you that kitchen on site. Now, COVID has certainly made a huge difference here, because people don't want people on site. They want the installers to move in. The kitchen should come in flat packed or pre-assembled, and they set this thing up in 2 or 3 days. And this is a huge new trend that has been really accelerated now through COVID. And we see much more acceptance for these factory-made kitchens, because only they can do this, because most carpenters don't typically have a workshop. They have to come to your house. So that's how it is. And a carpenter kitchen is not a modular kitchen. It's very clear. And you're very unlikely to ever get the quality of the woodwork or the accuracy of the installation of the fittings as well. So that needs to be addressed, and modular kitchen address that in a very efficient way.
Serafina, if I could just add a very quick point to what Jürgen was saying.
Sure.
The fundamental difference I feel pre-pandemic and currently during the pandemic, and why a customer is now choosing to go in for modulars versus the traditional carpenter, like he said, moving in to the house. Pre-pandemic, typically at least one family member had to stay home to make sure that work can go on. And if for some reason, let's say there are two people and either of them cannot stay at home, work could not happen that way. That was a fundamental challenge. What has changed now is people don't want anybody in their house. There's health and safety issues that they have with the pandemic. We've all become a lot more conscious, right? So that definitely has also driven a large amount of demand, I would say, on the front of modular kitchens.
Absolutely, yeah.
So going forward, where do we see India? How long do you think would it take a country like India to go modular?
I think I'll be dead for sure. I don't know what happens. But it's not about that. It's really about seeing the progress. When I came here 20 years ago, I mean, modular kitchens were literally non-existent, right? And there were no real mechanized factories making those. So we've come a long way. There's no doubt about it, and I see it accelerating now. It's not just because of COVID. It is also, as Kanika and Punapau said, it's a generational change. People have different expectations from the product. They have different expectations as to how long this can take to set up and to choose and so on. So I think it's just accelerating tremendously.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Jambal, now talking about aesthetics, you're a celebrity interior designer. I would like you to talk about when aesthetics is involved in planning modular kitchens. What are the kind of designs that are trending, be it shapes, textures, or even colors for that matter? What is really doing well?
So, inputs of Kanika and Punapa and Jürgen. Very exciting to hear you all. As far as I'm concerned, I've always seen the kitchen as the nucleus of the home. And it's the kind of, the space that ties in the entire home. Contrary to popular belief that it's the living room, it's the kitchen. And what I see trending very strongly is what is known, and something which I've done for the last 18 years since I shifted back to India, is the California kitchen, the open kitchen. The kitchen that integrates itself into the rest of the house, so that the living room and the kitchen literally meld into each other. The kitchen is actually becoming the multitasking space of the house. I have a German friend in Bombay who has a little desk and a study inside the kitchen. I have a friend who entertains in her kitchen. So the kitchen is no longer that stepchild which is left on the back burner of design. The kitchen is now the cynosure of the home, where you entertain, you write, you shoot, you do a webinar. And let's understand that with COVID, people all over the world have realized how important the home is. People are spending nearly their lives at home. So lots of people who were very blasé about home design have become focused and have begun to understand how important it is to create a luxury home based on their pockets, or sometimes even beyond. And I see people even taking loans to create a home because they're spending nearly 90 to 95%. And as far as some of the environmentalists, we are looking at many pandemics. So people are actually realizing the importance of home. Even as we speak, I'm sitting in my country home at Lavasa, doing up my kitchen. And it's really exciting. But one of the challenges we face in India, and Jürgen, this is where you come in, is labor. Labor was already very tough, and now it's even more difficult. So yes, I feel modular kitchens are a trend. They are fashionable. You slap them into shape on a computer, and voila, you have a magical kitchen, which where you just press a button and everything opens and closes like a spaceship. So spaceship kitchens with industrial design, steel surfaces which are antifungal, anti-rust are trending. As far as colors, emerald green is making waves. Yellow and gray follow close behind emerald green. Red, with its chutzpah and sense of panache, make a huge statement in the world of kitchens. Flooring has to be functional. The kitchen is a space where people slip very often and fall and have accidents. So yes, anti-skid flooring, functional flooring. The kitchen is a place where you have functionality intertwined with design very strongly, because you have to be able to function, but it's no longer a space where you have cooks and staff. A lot of people in India are doing away with a lot of stuff right now because there's such a fear about people carrying the pandemic with them. So the styling of an industrial kitchen, metallic lights, tall ceilings, iPhone and iPad conducive kitchens, tech savvy kitchens, this is the trend I'm seeing. Organic vegetables, little potted plants, kitchen patches outside your kitchen is a biggie right now. I see a lot of clients asking for water bodies, kitchen gardens, potted areas, kitchen boxes for herbs and for exotic vegetables to be grown. I think people who started out with living rooms are now starting out with bathrooms and kitchens. So, Serafina, your next show must be about bathrooms also. Uh, like I said, the entertainment space of a home and the kitchen is integrating. So I see that wall metaphorically and literally between a kitchen and a den, bar, dining, and living room breaking. You are actually demolishing that big wall and creating pony walls with a secret space for washing and for cooking. So that gets a pony wall to give it some privacy, but everything else is open. For instance, cabinets. You have show window cabinets with mesh or glass or exotic finishes, because the cabinets become literally like installation art. So the kitchen is now spacious. It's the dining space is in the kitchen. It's relaxing. It's one glorious, dramatic, artistic, well lit room, which even may outshine the living space. As far as, I mean, come to Lavasa and see my kitchen. I don't mean to sound immodest, but I think I prefer hanging there, though I can't say I'm a cook at all. So the biggest trend is right now, definitely, like Kanika said, hygiene is the need of the hour, but the show kitchen is what's ruling. And I think the showstopper at this moment would have to be bathrooms and kitchens.
Thanks, Ms. Jamwal. I was coming to materials. You spoke about glass, mesh, and my next question is to Ms. Devika Khosla. But before that, Ms. Kanika Baba, you spoke so much about colors while introducing yourself. It would be unfair for me not to put this question to you. What are your thoughts about, what's trending in terms of colors, shapes?
Yeah, so I think biophilic design and earth design is something which is going to be definitely popular. If you look at what we are going through, look at our kitchens now, right? We have all replaced steel and non-stick ware with terracotta utensils, with copper and brass, right? So I think biophilic earth design is definitely going to be dominant. With this, it should be coupled with back to India roots. Now, when I say back to India roots, it's like something very out of the box. But the thing is, consciously, I think we should all look at what India wisdom has from the ancient scriptures. You see, India has a wealth to offer. I think this is the time where industry leaders like Hafele should take note and collaborate and do something. Especially, like, let me give you an example. We all have heard of the Panch Dhatu, right? Panch Dhatu is the five metal mix. Now, you see, during the pandemic, this had got so much of impetus. People were talking and researching about this, right? So, copper, Panch Dhatu, it really eliminates the protein structure of the virus. Sorry, pardon me. So there is so much wealth in our ancient scriptures, India heritage, which I think now has to be made into context, right? That was back so many years, donkey years, right? Now it is for us designers, with the collaboration with industry, leaders like Hafele and a couple more, where we actually can come out with something unique in terms of fittings. So Panch Dhatu is just one example. But yes, people are going to tilt towards natural, organic colors, materials, like I said, terracotta, copper, right? Also, two-tone finishes are going to be popular. People will definitely look at kitchen as a comfort area, comfort zone, because it is not only the soul of the house, but it is also where one can balance the mind, body, and spirit, all in all. So I think it's this powerful zone which we all now realize the potential, and this is how it's going to be trending in this way. And it's definitely, I mean, organic, nature-inspired, biophilic is definitely going to be a way ahead, because people are fed up of claustrophobic places. They want to be one with nature, right? They want to go back to where we came from, but obviously in context. Yes.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ms. Pava. Taking ahead from the trending materials, Ms. Devika Khosla, if you could tell us what's trending. Is it wood, MDF, particle boards, laminate, glass, mesh? What are customers really asking for? And what, according to you, would be the best material where durability and sustainability is concerned? Also, cost affordability for that matter.
When we design kitchens for various homes, and most importantly, budgets are supposed to be really in place. So materials kind of follow the budget trend. The most sturdy material I'll start with would be a plywood, a good quality plywood, which is boiling water resistant, termite resistant, and then a 1 mm laminate pasted and all. So these modular kitchens, they have an MDF layer, and all that can be worked out according to your budget. But when one is designing a kitchen, I think durability, accessibility. So laminates is very, very, it's a very important material, I would say, and really being used these days. Acrylic is used to give the color pop. Glass encased in an aluminum profile shutter for overhead cabinets makes the kitchen very airy. And like Mr. Wolf had spoken about, the fittings are really key. If you have a soft closed drawer, I mean, it's so easy to use and you don't have to keep banging the shutter and the drawers back in place. So all of these materials, when put together with the right, fittings, make a good kitchen. For me personally, these are not only sturdy materials, but they're also very versatile, and they make that space look smart, modern, easy to clean. In terms of other hardy materials, I think for granite, for countertops, you could go for Indian granites or quartz. Personally, I feel Indian granites are absolutely durable for Indian kind of cooking. Quartz is also a very good material. And at the end of the day, it totally depends on the end user. How careful are they with their kitchens and their surfaces? So, like all of you have mentioned, that kitchen is now the soul of a house, and people are really investing in it in terms of looks, in terms of durability. And I have even seen the budgets increase for the kitchen, because now people have realized that if they use good materials and sturdy materials, their kitchens are going to last longer and they're going to enjoy using these. So this is what my take is.
Mr. Wolf, like Miss Khosla just mentioned rightly about fittings being such an important part. So, would you be able to elaborate on the role of hardware and how it really impacts the final product, and also how can the right hardware really increase the durability and sustainability of the final product?
Yeah, so it is a part of the kitchen, right? So it's a very important part of the kitchen. But as Devika said, of course, the durability of a kitchen depends also very much on the materials you use for the cabinets, right? Now, Devika and I need to have a little chat offline here somewhere. It is true that most Indians would prefer marine ply as a base material, even though really that is based on the impression that your maid may be flooding the kitchens 3 times a day to clean it, and the wet kitchen concept, which really isn't entirely true anymore. So if you look at Europe, for instance, nobody, and I mean nobody, uses ply. 100% of all kitchens in Europe are coming from different materials, and increasingly so from engineered boards as well, which are termite proof, which are waterproof, and give very good stability, don't deform, and so on, and are actually cheaper than ply. So ply is a very expensive solution. So it's very important to get that base right, and then into those cabinets you can fit our fittings and do that accurately so that they function perfectly. Without those fittings, as I said, and without that functionality, you have nothing in the kitchen. So it's very important to plan that right, and that's why the design of the kitchen, the functional design of the kitchen is so super important, and unfortunately often forgotten by designers. Starting with just the basic triangle, between your sink, your hob, your fridge, for instance. And then making sure you have the prepping zone in the right place, the cooking zone in the right place, the cleaning zone in the right place, and understand how the user is also going to use the kitchen. Yeah, so that is the basic, and then you can basically bring in fittings, the right fittings into those applications, and make sure that everything works perfectly. And then you have a convenience factor. That means you're introducing soft close. Now, soft close become standard now, not just for the drawers, but also for the shutters and the overhead shutters. You're bringing other aesthetic components like lighting, which is very, very important and becoming a huge topic. You bring in, and that's where I disagree with Devika, you bring in engineered stone, because that is the perfect surface for your kitchen, and not granite. Granite has the biggest limitation of granite is that you don't get it in many colors. Engineered stone you can get in any version, in any color, and you can really make a highlight out of the kitchen through your surface. It makes a huge difference, and it's antibacterial, it's non-absorbent, it doesn't scratch. It's just the perfect material. But it's just entering India, and we see literally a doubling of our sales figures for engineered stone every year, because people are so convinced of the properties. You can bring in then other aesthetic things. Devika, you also talked about aluminium profiles with glass for your upper cabinets, and that is also what we do, for instance, and that is a fitting as well, and you can get that in very, very attractive colors. You can start with your aluminium color, which it goes then into rose gold, into antique bronze, and even black, to really give a aesthetic accent to the kitchen as well. So all of those are fittings, and then not to forget, and probably the most important thing, are your appliances. Now, because ultimately you need to be able to cook perfectly in your kitchen, and when that used to be only a hob and a hood in the past, now people want ovens, people want built-in microwaves, and they want a dishwasher now. This is actually one of the biggest changes that we have observed during COVID. We sold in 2019, we sold 545 dishwashers. In 2020, we sold 6,000, and we can't get them fast enough. It's just incredible, because as soon as the house help went out of the door, people realized they had to do the dishes themselves. And I said, I don't want to do that. And so we had to introduce several different ranges of dishwashers freestanding, so that they can wash their dishes there. So it's becoming a more accepted concept now. So it's very exciting to see all the changes taking place, and fittings are playing an incredibly important part here.
Mr. Wolf, what is really required, and I'll put this question to Mr. Punappa as well as Mr. Wolf, what is required to bridge this gap? You know, when you talk about materials, like Ms. Khosla mentioned, anyone would actually think of marine wood first. But this is obviously not, like you mentioned, in Europe, nobody uses marine wood. So what is required for us to bridge this gap?
Can I answer that very quickly? What is required is that we first convince the interior designer community and the architect community, and then they can convince their customers, because there's no other way. It has to come top down.
I'd like to say something. It's not about convincing the design community. We completely would like to go for a modular kitchen. But like I said, there are lots of budgets that have to be seen. And for example, your company, it may not fit the budget of a certain user. So that's when they would like to, and I know it is a misconception about MDF, because you get very good quality engineered boards, you get very good quality engineered stone tops also. Now, the better the quality is, you have to pay for it, right? You have to pay extra for it. So my point was that a very modest Indian home would still prefer going for an Indian granite versus an engineered stone.
I agree. Yes,
right?
I agree. Yes.
So definitely modular kitchens are the way forward. Very easy to maintain, install, clean, durability. And I think especially now when people are cooking themselves, they're kind of realizing that what is it that they would like to use. Earlier, it was being used by their house help or the cook. Now, when they're using it themselves, the realization is there's a kind of a shift. So I agree with all of that you've just said.
If I could actually add on a little bit, I feel like most of the people from the design fraternity on this call deal with customers on an individual level. They are bespoke clients, so to say. Now, if people like you again, if they have to look at scale, they don't have the Devikas or the Nishas of the world dealing with a customer. At the end of the day, where we, or I would say, a company like Brigade would definitely appreciate some assistance and some, help in, is kind of orienting our salespeople, orienting our designers to kind of figure out how we need to be talking to the client, how we need to be advising, for which we need to be educated and we need to be told a little bit about the products, the quality of the products, the various parameters that a product could be installed in. If something like that is undertaken, I think it gives a lot of benefit both to the customer and to the brand. I don't think you typically find a customer who would say no to good quality. Of course, price, it goes without saying, right? It is the immutable law of business that a customer is going to ask for the moon, but wants to pay peanuts. That's just how it is. It is our job to kind of figure out where that fine balance is. I have found in my experience in dealing with customers face to face that if you can show a good value proposition, they don't mind spending a little bit more. But for that, the person who is selling the product needs to understand a little bit better. So I think the difference between what Yogan is saying and what Devika is saying is just the fact that the approach to it is very different in the way Devika sees it, where she consults on a one-on-one basis, but a brand like Hafele is not actually able to do so. So I think that's where the gap is, and if that gap can be bridged, I think there's a lot of potential.
Yeah. Punappa, I'll offer you a little training in our design center in Bangalore. Bring your team. We just do it for you, and we'll show you everything that is possible.
Absolutely.
So I have a question for, in fact, everybody on the panel, is that we're talking about design trends today in the time of the pandemic, but we're at a transitional phase right now, and it is going to end, and we're going to morph into a post-pandemic phase. Do you see a transition design-wise? Because right now we're talking no staff, no people in the kitchen, quick fix, setting up quickly. Post-pandemic, we revert back to an era where we go back to what we're used to. Do you see a shift? Are we only in a transitional design phase, which is going to morph into something else? Any thoughts?
Permanent, and I think change is constant. I think this is a change that's going to be something that's going to, bring this metamorphosis into a life change for people. People, at least the people I'm working with, have realized that it's a lifelong change where they want to do things themselves. Indians are becoming way more hands on after the pandemic. And why are we even assuming the pandemic is a transitory thing? A lot of environmentalists are saying that there are going to be more pandemics. So we have to be ready, we have to be thinking on our toes, we have to be more hands on. And like I said earlier, the one big change that I see, Falguni, is the kitchen has become integrated with the living space, with the rest of the home. It's no longer this one room tucked away in the corner where no one goes into. For instance, when I'm entertaining right now in this hill station of Lavasa, every guest I have walks into the kitchen, helps himself to a soda or a beer. I think world stage, we've always seen a kitchen as part of the rest of the home. But specifically in India, I'm seeing it take on a more important role, becoming more center stage and becoming, one of the celebrities of the home. So I think it's definitely a permanent change. And I also see a lasting change in the people that are, living in that home and becoming more hands-on. Which in
What do you think, Mr. Wolf? Yeah, I'd like to know. Do you expect a transformation in terms of people's expectations over time, or do you think this change is more permanent?
Yes, so I agree with Nisha. There's no permanence here, right? Change is perpetual, right? So and the market has been changing for so many years now. Now COVID will do a couple of things. First of all, people have been sitting in their homes and they've been looking at their own place, and they didn't like what they see. So they started to make plans how to upgrade, right? So whether it's a new kitchen or a new bathroom or bedroom, whatever it may be. So and then they had time on their hands and they started to research as well. And you will see that they're coming out of their homes after COVID, well educated and with a clear idea what they want to do. You will see a huge uptick, which we are already experiencing now in appliances, because people have been looking at their kitchens and said, "Well, I can't really bake anything or grill anything or steam anything. And I want to do that. I've been watching these cooking shows and reading cooking books, and I now want to also be able to do that." And you will see a huge uptick there. So yes. What is happening, I think, is what we call in the Western world cocooning, because people will be maybe less prepared to rush out and throw themselves back into the crowd and sort of spend more time in the safety of their home, and they want to make that home very special, and you will see a huge increase in interest there.
Can I add to this? Can I add a few more things? See, with the pandemic, it's been at least a welcome change that kitchen is now rebooting itself, right? For these so many years, the kitchen has never been in the limelight. At least for now, with all this crisis, in India, the kitchen has become a hero of sort. It has got the spotlight on. So clients are also looking at it, and designers are also trying to reinvent or reboot the kitchen in different ways. Today, when the client says he wants a complete solution for the kitchen, he's looking at not only a wine chiller, he also wants a washing machine, he wants a dishwasher, everything, even the ironing board to be, all encompassed within the kitchen zone. So at least it's got the attention to the kitchen, because for all these years, from times immemorial, you see all our Hindi movies, the kitchen has always been a cubby hole, right? Lacking ventilation and all. So at least there's a metamorphosis, there's a catharsis of sorts, which is very good. Clients are also aware, if you're talking of WPC, in terms of you're talking of materials, there are midway options also. There are WPC sheets, as well as there are expensive calibrated boards also. Plus, one can use pre-laminated boards. So there are so many options. It's only the awareness and the knowledge. I think that is what you need to, kind of have a conversation with your client and show them the pros and cons. There is no material which doesn't have a pros and cons. So I think considering budget, considering style, whichever style one is actually opting out for, it's all finally about the balancing act, and especially attention to detail. Yeah.
So I have a quick question for Mr. Ponappa. Do you see a difference in your offering to your customers, given that tastes and palates quite literally and figuratively have changed? Is your offering going to change now, given that tastes are becoming more refined for the kitchen?
I would like to actually go so far as to say that our offerings have already changed over the last year or so to ensure that the customer gets exactly what he wants. Having had that limited amount of experience of being completely put into your house and having nowhere to go, and then not having help and access to help even in some cases. To some large extent, we have already made changes to the design, and we see, even from a requirement point of view, when a customer comes to us to even tell us what their requirements are, the initial design consultation we have, it comes across very clearly that they're planning for and thinking about a future that is more self-dependent and definitely not looking at too much external help. So yeah, I think we've already done that to some large extent.
Okay, thanks.
So budget kitchens is something that has been the focus during this discussion. Mr. Nagapan, quickly, if you could tell us how much would it actually cost for a good quality budgeted modular kitchen? And also, how can the cost be further reduced with the right use of materials and hardware?
Okay, thanks for the question. And yeah, I got so many learnings and different perspectives from the other panelists. And I would like to pick upon a few things told by Mr. Ponnappa and Devika as well. I think first thing to answer this question, a budgeted modular kitchen can start anywhere upward of 1.5 lakhs. From my experience, I'm talking from a tier 2 city perspective. So the kitchens I've done, anywhere above 1.25, 1.5 lakhs, we can do a kitchen, like maybe a 10 by 10 kitchen. And it is not about the size of the kitchen per se. I would rather stress upon, as Mr. Jürgen Wolf said, the functionality is the key here. It's not a thing like you have this much amount of money and you so design a kitchen. It's not like that. So first, be focused or conscious about how functional it has to be. Then sort out the functions first, and then accordingly do a budget. So when I say to do a 1.5 or 1.25 lakhs kitchen, we come up with a set set number of accessories, because as we know, the primary reason people do modular kitchens is to organize things and to keep things in place, to like take it whenever they want it and put it back in the right place within a limited amount of space. So naturally, organizing them is the first priority. So we go up for a limited number of accessories, and we also restrict on any fancy things like lights or things like that. So we make it very functional and stripped down, a lean kitchen to be precise. So that's how we are able to make within that budget. And I would like to touch upon a few aspects of material usage. So Jürgen Wolf had spoken about usage of MDF in most of European countries. On the contrary, where we use a lot of plywood in India. It's my own, I don't know whether it's right or wrong, but from what I have learned all these years, materials like MDF and particle board or chipboard, as they call it, these are good to be used in a factory. A carpenter cannot handle them at site.
That's
and
correct.
We as a country, we have been traditionally depending on carpenters to get our interiors done. And these people systematically have put it in client's mind that these materials are not fit to do interiors, because they are unable to work on them. It is their own limitation. And in a site, you cannot work on a particle board. You can't cut it properly. You cannot stick it properly. And the kind of screws, the kind of power tools, we lack in everything. As Mr. Ponnappa rightly said, living in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, you cannot expect a carpenter to have access to all the right power tools, the right hardware, the accessories, everything. So they work with whatever they have in hand, and they project them as superior, and everything else is inferior. And all of our clients, they look up to carpenters as gods. They believe whatever they say, because ultimately it is in their hands because these people doesn't know a thing about the kitchen. Even if it's good or bad, they have to depend on the carpenters. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, they have to go back to the carpenter for service. So they are afraid because they don't have the awareness. They don't have people to help them. But in today's context, as far as I've seen for the past 10, 15 years, slowly the modular kitchen industry, or rather the furniture factory industry, factory-made furniture has picked up a lot. And in towns like where I am in Coimbatore, we have close to around 75 furniture factories delivering wardrobes and kitchens. And all these factories primarily concentrate on modular kitchens for one simple reason. Of late, people have started buying a lot of apartments and villas. Buying lands and constructing houses has steadily on the decline. So the moment people buy apartments and villas, the first thing they want to do is a kitchen. See, your wardrobes, your TV units, you can buy off the shelf. You can buy online, you can go to a store and pick it up. Your kitchen, you cannot pick it up. You have to do it at site. You have no other go. And without doing a kitchen, our guys cannot do a housewarming. So the very first thing which comes into the mind of a client is the kitchen. They can live without a TV unit, without a wardrobe. They can manage. They cannot manage without a kitchen because they have to eat every day. It is as simple as that. So that is the primary reason this market is growing very fast and picking up so fast. And I also want to touch upon another aspect of the guarantee. I have worked with clients of various social classes and various budgets, luxury kitchens, budget kitchens, everyone. What I have learned is people who are learned, who are aware, and people who can afford to buy branded kitchens, they go by it. They're ready to spend for the branded kitchen because they get a guarantee or warranty, like some 10 years or 15 years warranty. But people who get carpenters or furniture factories to do their kitchen, they are afraid about this warranty because no one is going to give them this commitment that I will be with you, I will help you if there anything goes wrong. And that is the primary reason they don't want to use any other material than plywood, because it is so very clearly etched in their mind that plywood is like God, it's so superior. Even if anything goes wrong, like I can manage. If at all you go and use a MDF or particle board, they have to get hold of an experienced or a skilled person to repair it. See, there is something called a screw holding capacity, the adhesion or screw holding capacity, with respect to MDF and in comparison to MDF and plywood. So this plywood, if anything goes wrong, you can once again screw back in the same place or take a screw and put it in another place. It's not the case with MDF or particle board. You need to be very precise and skillful to do it properly. You can do it. I'm not saying you cannot do it, but you have to have certain expertise. That is lacking in our places, and that is why people are afraid. I would say at the end of it, it's only lack of awareness which is creating all these issues. The moment we educate our customer in the right manner and tell them that there are n number of people to support properly, I think they are going to accept it, and this is going to go in a great way. Thank you.
I think you really hit the nail on the head here, Nagapan. I think this is exactly what's going on.
What about tier 1 cities? What would be the cost? You mentioned about tier 2 cities would be around 1.5 lakh. What about tier 1? Would anybody like to comment? Yes. Ms. Bava? You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Can you please repeat that? I didn't catch that.
Mr. Nagapan mentioned the cost for, for a modular kitchen in a tier 2 city would be about 1.5 lakh. What about tier 1 cities, metros?
I think a metros is going to be, this is like a big revelation, 1.5. But big cities, I think it would be anything from 3.5 lakhs to maybe 15 lakhs, depending on how big the kitchen is. But on an average, if you're looking at least, I think 5 lakhs would be an average. You need to dish out at least that much.
In terms of square feet, how do we put a cost to it, any of you?
Yeah, so this would be, what Kanika says, is all without appliances. Please bear that in mind, right? So,
yes.
Yeah, so
I said without appliances, it is like 1.5 lakhs, roughly.
And I also
1,500 per square foot.
I also think Nagapan was mentioning like this is the kind of starting range, not so much that you'll get like a kitchen in that much, but the starting range would possibly.
I like the way he called it a lean kitchen.
Yeah.
Without I think the sky is the limit. If there's no end to using the best of appliances, the best of materials, you can just go crazy. So that's why it's very important to understand the client's budget from the very beginning, because I'm sure everybody assigns a certain budget to every area. I think that's the way to go. And then depending on the appliances, what all they want to fit in, the kind of accessories they want to use.
So, Serafina,
I
is it
think
difficult to actually say this is how much it would? Oh, sorry, go
People have
ahead.
been stretching their budgets immensely. You see clients now not so persnickety about budgets because they've realized the importance of the home. And also,
exactly.
you see clients while they are designing becoming excited about what's happening and
Hmm.
funneling more funds into what they started out being a little more stringent about. So it's like an ongoing a kind of a drug where you're feeling more and more excited and funneling more funds and wanting to create an asset of your home and also more importantly your kitchen.
Are there any other challenges that any of you would like to highlight? We know about, awareness, general awareness about materials, especially appliances. But any other challenges that any of you would like to highlight?
Yes.
I feel one of the biggest challenges is labor in India. For me, I think the greatest, and that is why I thrive on modular furniture, product designers, modular kitchens, modular wardrobes. I just love it because they just come, take measurements, and slap it into shape in a few months. I think labor is a big challenge. It's even getting worse. And while on the one hand, people talk about economy and wanting there being less money out there in the market, I as a designer see a lot of people wanting to spend money and labor either on holiday or sitting in villages. So for me, the biggest challenge has always been trying to motivate labor and good labor into coming back and working rather than spending 50% of the year sitting in a village.
I think the other
I would,
challenge, sorry, Kanika, please go ahead.
no, please, I'll go after you. Yeah, no problem.
I think one of the other challenge would be, let's say we do a modular kitchen from Hafele, would be like an AMC kind of a thing, because after a couple of years, drawers and shutters tend to hang with usage and things like that. That's when the problems start cropping up. Then the client doesn't know where to go, whether they should get a regular carpenter who's a corner carpenter who comes to help, or should they reach back at the place where they bought it from, and there is no clarity on that. I've seen a lot of people who suffer this kind of a problem. So maybe
I
that
think
can, be
that's a
tackled.
great great thought, Devika, because if you could get, just like when you buy appliances, you get your AMC with it. If for a modular kitchen or for a service that you provide for, I mean, it's like a service. It is a service and a product. If there would be an AMC, I think it would be fabulous to impetus for people to go in for it, because it's like someone supporting you. Sorry, Mr. Wolf, you were saying something.
No, I just wanted to reply to Devika what the situation is. So typically, you would buy a kitchen from one of our kitchen partners, right? Now, this would be either a full franchisee or a kitchen studio partner or a kitchen manufacturer, and these are people that have been trained by us, so and that have the labor that can install the kitchen, and they will also typically be able to offer you an AMC. Because I mean, when we hang ourselves out of the window and we say that we give a lifetime warranty to our fittings, then we have to make good on that. Yeah. So first of all, I would hope that nothing would start to hang and drop and droop after 2 years, because that shouldn't be happening if it's properly installed in the first place. It should last you truly 10, 15 years. And all my kitchens that I have from ourselves are that old now and older, and they're all still perfectly all right and functional. But an AMC is a great idea once a year, to look at all the cabinetry and see, is anything warped, has anything moved. By the way, also look at the appliances at the same time, and make sure your hob is cleaned and brought back into shape. So we're offering that through our partners. So that's in fact, we've gone so far now that we have created what we call a Meister service, where our own people, and that's about 60 technicians that we have across the country, will actually come and do the installation for you. You have to pay for it, of course, but they will do the installation for you, and then we warrant even things like a wardrobe. your sliding gear or whatever it may be. So that is your concern is very true and very valid, and this is how we're trying to address this.
Ms. Baba, you had something to add as well?
This was one of the concerns. The other thing is, a lot of times we have challenges when clients ask us, appliance specific, specifications. Like, for example, I've had clients now, a lot of times the newer clients are going in for the new chimney, which is like counter set. It's opposed to the older chimney, which was set in the, overhead storage. Now, people are asking for noise-free chimneys. Now, that is such a daunting task. You don't get a chimney which is silent here somehow. Simple, practical solutions. I think with time, more R&D, invested companies, I think probably we'll see different way of things ahead. Also, for multifunctional dual furniture, they still want fittings. Like for kitchen, it's looking at fittings, like how we have fittings for a Murphy bed, for let's say a couple of other things like a pop-up television panel. So there are so many other fittings which clients, they just ask us, oh, do we have some fittings for this? In terms of when the even doors, you have sliding, folding, but you still need some other fittings for pocketed doors, wherein you have a space crunch, sorry. So there's so many instances when you feel there are challenges, and then you have to really think out of the box and then come up with some other solution. But yes, I think fitting industry has come a long way, and I'm sure in times to come, again, leaders like Hafele are investing in a lot to make the kitchens comfortable for all of us.
Kanika, you in Mumbai, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you clearly haven't been to either of our design centers, because all the things you've just mentioned, all of them without exceptions, are in there. Right, so just go and check it out. We have one in Bandup and we have one in Mahalakshmi.
Yes, okay.
Large ones, 10,000 square feet plus. So check it out. You will find all these wonderful things there.
Sure, will do. Thank you.
Serafina, I need to jump in and excuse myself. I'm going live on a news debate. And I'd like to
thank you, Ms. Jambal.
I'm delighted to be part of this. Falguni, thank you.
Thanks.
And,
thanks, Nisha. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being part of the panel.
Thanks, Nisha. I had, Serafina, a very quick question. Yes, I had a very quick question to this panel. In fact, this is something that has been gnawing at me for a while now, and I've done a little bit of research, of course, but I cannot think of a better panel to ask this question to. But it does come with a little bit of context. So we go back about 12 years, and around that time, we Brigade as an organization in our design for apartments typically started making open kitchens, right? Which was relatively new as a concept. And the open kitchen was, I think in the beginning, we got a lot of mixed reaction. Today, it is the standard. Yeah, if you look across Bangalore, almost anybody who's making an apartment has an open kitchen. But more from the design part of things, the functionality aspect of things, I wanted to get the take of the people on this panel as to what is the customer preference, one, and advantages versus disadvantages. I mean, of course, a lot of them are obvious, but what really sells? Because today we do not face too much of a resistance. It's maybe because that's all that is being offered today, so the customer does not have maybe too much of a choice. But when you really get down to brass tacks, especially where modifications are possible, what are customers opting for?
Can I answer that? The thing is, Indian cooking is primarily very noisy. Though open kitchen is a very wow concept, people welcome that. But there are times when it becomes a big constraint, and especially now in the pandemic, you have a kid, schooling somewhere, you have the husband somewhere, the wife needs to do her work. And again, the kitchen, if what is that, pressure cooker, your whistle goes on, it's very disturbing. So you need proper acoustics. Maybe you can have some win-win solution or a win-win strategy where you have these pocketed doors, sliding doors. When you want the open plan look in the kitchen, just draw the doors on one side. And then when you want total sound privacy, because even if you're doing tempering, seasoning, that tadka, the chili goes here and there, and then you see the entire, the chili travels in the whole house, and everybody is rubbing the eyes. If you have some onion stuff happening, the whole gas is diffused in the entire house. So that is troublesome. If you see the practical point of view, open kitchen have their share of hiccups, I must say that. So the only way we can look at solution is give them both the solutions, wherein they can have they can enjoy the beauty of a fluid space, and then also when they can, kind of have a boundary to it, so they can pull out their doors with sound and sound insulated pocketed doors. That is a win-win situation, which customers really feel that it may not be wise all the time to have an open kitchen because it is restrictive in so many ways. In today's situation, it's a multifunctional area, right? I think that's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a very valid comment, and it's not just sound; it's smell, right? Because of course, when you're cooking, all your smells are going through the house, and you may or may not like that. I mean, I have an open kitchen here, and I'm sitting here working in my office, and I can smell my wife cooking from downstairs. There's no doubt about it. So it doesn't bother me. But a room divided, the one that you're describing, is a very good solution to that. So you could, by the way, you could also find that in our design centers in Bandung and Malakshmi. They're all there.
I agree with Kanika and Mr. Wolf that it needs to be kind of an enclosed and open space. Also because our utensils are huge. We have those big karhais and patilas, and if the sink is not placed strategically, it can look very, very cluttery and untidy. So you have to maintain your kitchen at all times. So if you look at it the other way, if you want a neat and clean space and decluttered look, give them an open kitchen. Then they have no choice but to keep their space nicely. But yeah, having an enclosed space which can open out into the rest of the house is a brilliant idea, Kanika.
I would like to add something here. We have done 2 kitchens for some of our clients. People have the privilege of space. We have done 2 kitchens. One is a show kitchen. One is the actual wet kitchen. So people do all the cooking, the main stuff in the wet kitchen. The show kitchen is just to show off to their guests, to just set up the table, to keep their food and keep food. So that's another way of looking at it. But and it's a luxury in apartments. In individual houses, yes, you can do that.
Yeah, a lot of cases like that where there's a sort of chapati kitchen in the back and you have the show kitchen in the front where you serve the drinks. Of course, that it's a very premium situation. Our observation is certainly that with affordable living, fewer and fewer people can afford to do that, and they have to have a kitchen that works, and that's it's a challenge to get that right.
Great, very insightful. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Punappa, for putting forward this question. It was very interesting to know about, what they have to say. Very quickly, before we conclude, I would like to...
Just 1 second. I just had a thought. In terms of material, maybe there is a need for a material that can completely absorb smells and obviates the need for a closed kitchen into... This is just a thought. I'm just shooting here. Something that can absorb a lot of smell and allow the space its flexibility if it is required. It's for a material manufacturer to ponder upon.
Yes, I guess. I'm not aware of such material to date.
Should use an activated carbon filter in your kitchen and then keep running it so it keeps on sucking all your smells. I don't know whether it's...
Yeah, so your hood is the only way to do this at the moment. You have to get the right suction in your hood. By the way, there's also very quiet hoods, but they cost a little more. That's the problem.
Okay.
And you can also actually get a hood where the motor is outside on the other side of the room. So you have literally no sound at all.
No sound.
Yeah.
Do you have these under counter hoods also, which kind of pop up? And I don't know how useful they are as compared to the hood that is on top. It kind of frees the space to do other things, but
yes, we have those.
Technically,
I have to tell you, these are for your show kitchen. These are not for the heavy duty. Let's go for it all chapati kitchen. That's not going to work. This is for light cooking.
Okay.
Okay, we're running out of time. Just very quickly, one word from each one of you on one innovative trend in modular kitchens that you think will see a lot more traction in the days to come. We start with Mr. Punappa.
I think visualization is key. All our customers want to get a very good sense of what the finished product would look like. Of course, we are in a position to show renders, etc. From a customer point of view, I think the next step is really going to be your virtual reality or your augmented reality, where they're able to come into the unit and maybe put on a headgear or a headset and visualize the kitchen as it is in front of you. So that's definitely on the customer side and visualization front. On the back end for let's say vendors and for suppliers, I think something that could increase productivity leaps and bounds is going to be in the AI and the ML space. Looking at customer profiles, if they can figure out, hey, typically speaking, a customer of this profile orders these type of units in their kitchen. This is the preferences. It'll help stocking. It'll help supply, and the entire supply chain management ecosystem will be a lot more efficient. So yes, definitely these two things.
Ms. Devika Khosla.
One word. I think use of smart kitchen appliances is the way forward. That's a brilliant trend to go with.
Agree. Ms. Kanika Bava.
I'd say biophilic.
Great. Mr. Nagapan.
I would say the trend is more minimal and monochrome kitchens. My clients, most of them want white kitchens or single color. They don't want any flashy ones. That's the trend, I think.
One word.
Kanika doesn't like that at all. She did not like what you did.
I know that. I'm sorry. That's my.
Mr. Jürgen Wolf.
Yeah, just to comment on that, it is true from our experience that probably 70-80% are a solid color, a solid light color. That could be, Devika, maybe an earth color, but people prefer white a lot. That's for sure. The only real trend there in terms of colors that we are noticing is gray. Gray is becoming getting a huge following because it looks very, very elegant, and you can combine it beautifully with natural wood as well. So that gives a very warm look, despite gray being not a warm color. And the other thing, Devika, you said it. I was going to say the same thing. For me, the biggest trend was appliances. There's a revolution in the kitchen, in the Indian kitchen, going on with appliances. There's no question about that. And smart appliances. And you will see in a very short period of time, you will see cameras in your fridge that will tell you what you have in there when you go out shopping and you forgot whether you have tomatoes or not. And you can check these things out. A lot of changes have already taken place in the ovens, which are all touch screen now, like your iPhone, and you can have automatic cooking going on from a recipe that is in your oven, and very exciting new technologies.
We will wait for that day soon.
No, it's there. Go to my design centers. Sorry.
Okay, we come to the end of this discussion.
I would like to add one thing. Yes. As Mr. Jürgen Wolf said, Hafele has everything. I know that. I've tried to use many interesting hardwares and fixtures. The only issue I face is we don't have a good amount of trained people to install them properly. I can buy a hardware worth of 1 lakh, but the sorry state is I don't have a proper person to install it, so I'm afraid to use it. I don't want to take the chance. My client doesn't want to take a chance. So
yeah, I think this is a point that Nisha made. To get good labor is a real challenge. You get a lot of labor, but get good labor, people who actually know what they do, is a big challenge. And if you get them and find them, you need to nurture them, right? So these 60 technicians that I have had zero turnover with them for the last 10 years. Can you believe it? Not a single guy left, because we really look after them. And this is the team that does the Meister service. So if you want to buy a sophisticated fitting where you're not sure whether you find the right guy to install it, then you can use that Meister service from us, and we will come in and install it for you.
Okay, great.
For a small fee.
Yeah, of course.
You know, Mr. Wolf, in our workshop, we send our carpenters for training to the vendor who's supplying us all your channels and hardware and stuff. They actually go there, and he's very kind. He really teaches the carpenters everything. And yes, that's really key to completely understand the product before installing it. Otherwise, the best of products can be a waste. That's
I agree.
true.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, with this, we come to an end of this discussion. Very informative, very trendy discussion, if I may call it. Thank you to all our panelists, and thank you to the audience for being part of this discussion today. A special thanks to Hafele for supporting this virtual roundtable. Thank you, Mr. Wolf, Ms. Khosla, Mr. Ponnappa, Ms. Bava, Ms. Jamwal, Mr. Nagapan. Thank you to all of you. Stay
Thank
safe,
you.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
And,
much. Thank you.
We will touch base with you all again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you
Bye.
all. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.